Hello, I'm Annette Kirkland, and welcome to Beyond the Gates. In this season, we are talking about leading with innovation. And I am honored today to have with me Dr. Beth Fleming. She's the ERDC Director, and we're going to be talking about engineering the future, ERDC Innovation in Action. Good morning, Dr. Fleming.
Good morning, Annette. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, and I am super pumped to have you here.
Well, I am too. I'm so honored to be here, and it's just so exciting to be a part of this.
Well, and we go way back, don't we?
We do, a long time.
We won't start counting the years.
Aerobics,
like
yes.
30-something
Years ago.
No, okay. Anyway, I said we wouldn't count the years, so we're not. Okay. All right, so we're just going to dive into the questions because I know that people are going to be excited to learn about Dr. Fleming. And I want you to tell me about yourself, your background, and your role at ERDC.
Oh, fantastic. Well, thanks for that question. I love giving people a little bit of background about how I wound up in Vicksburg, which has been my home for almost 40 years now.
See, I didn't even know that.
I have. I've lived here all that time, a lot of time downtown. I used to live, we got our first home was right in the Glenwood Circle area. We absolutely loved that. And I came here in 87, met my husband at work on a blind date.
Wow.
Through a work friend
Okay.
who introduced us. And he kept telling me, got this guy that's dying to go out with you. And I'm like, what? Have I met him? And then he kept it up for about 2 weeks. And finally I agreed to go and found out that he hadn't even mentioned me to the date.
Oh, okay.
But our first date, we went to the Red Carpet Bowl, the Warren Central versus Vicksburg ball game. That was our first date. And I've got to find the picture. We have a picture of that too. It's real funny. Long time ago. But we've been married. And we, married a long time. Have two sons. They both went to Warren Central, graduated from there. We're very proud of that. We just had one graduate from Mississippi State, the younger one. So we're getting them off the books.
Sometimes it takes forever, doesn't it? And then you're like, oh, what happened? It just seems, like yesterday they were so young.
It does. So we're very proud of them, both in computer engineering. They're both engineers. And so, as you know, we're here to talk about ERDC and the Corps of Engineers. So I have loved what I've done. I started there as a student in 87 and then came back after I graduated from Mississippi State with a chemical engineering degree and was hired to manage a Hazway Center. So that was kind of my first job.
Okay.
But later became the director of the environmental lab, which was so exciting and interesting. Just about anything you can think of in the environmental arena, we did.
Right.
And I just absolutely loved it. I think what attracted my husband was, when I started, I was in the hazardous waste, and I had to wear this yellow suit. It was didn't breathe at all. It was like Visqueen.
Right.
And then my respirator and all of that stuff.
So that was attractive.
That was attractive.
Oh, good,
yes, Yes. And he had actually done that 2 years earlier, so it was all cool.
Okay.
But I love that job. And one of the things you're going to ask me about is innovation. What I'm going to tell you about in a little bit has a great deal to do with that role in the environmental lab.
Okay.
But from there, I moved to deputy director. I had been the environmental lab director for a number of years. And the the DUSA, Undersecretary of the Army, said, it's time for you to promote up. And I'm like, no, I'm good
I'm
right
comfortable.
Here. Thank you. It's so nice for you to offer. And he finally said, I am not asking. It is time for you to move to the deputy. So I did that for a while, loved it. But I also did a detail. Now, this is one of the craziest things ever. If you know me, you would know this is crazy. I did a detail as the CIO, Chief Information Officer, G6, which is an operational component of the Army, for about 4 or 5 months. And that was the furthest thing from my set of things that I know, my background. And I walked in up there to D.C. I actually lived in D.C. for that time. And somebody said, you must be a nut coming and taking that job. And it was so much fun.
It was eye-opening, wasn't it?
Oh, it was. It was. If you, one of the things that one of my colleagues has said when he was retiring, if you're comfortable, you're not growing.
Right.
And I absolutely loved
I preach that, absolutely.
It was wonderful. And then came back and stayed at ERDC I was in the deputy job about 8 years. And then the chief said, I'm going to move you again. I'm going to send you to Regional Business Director over at Mississippi Valley Division. But let me tell you about that, how fun that is. It is great. What they do with the Mississippi River. I was so proud of the contributions that the Corps of Engineers makes to the Mississippi River. And I'm going to weave that into some of the discussion on background for the whole Corps, because Vicksburg is a Corps town with Mississippi Valley Division, ERDC, and the Vicksburg District here. And just, it's amazing. One moment you'll have low water, which stops all the navigational traffic if we don't manage it. The next moment you'll have flooding. And the responsibility is huge that we have. And billions of dollars of navigational traffic go down that river every year. Billions.
So important.
With a B.
So important what the Corps of Engineers does.
It taught me a lot.
Right.
So when I was coming back to ERDC, it was like coming home, coming back to family, but I have new family all over the place across the Corps. With each of those opportunities, I've expanded and made more contacts for ERDC. So I just really loved it. Loved all the challenges that the Corps of Engineers has provided me. It has been, at times I'm like, ooh, I really messed that up. And then other times it went great. I remember sitting in one of the Mississippi Valley Division staff meetings, and they put a graph up there, and it showed what the levels in the Mississippi River were. And they kept going, and I was like, wait a minute, go back to that. That looked odd. That doesn't look right. And it was really low. And so we were able to get out in front of the low water event.
Oh, good.
Last year, which was an exciting thing to do.
Right. That's great.
Loved it.
Well, you feel in life, I'm sure like me, that each path you go down, you're meant to go down that path. I mean, because that leads to your experiences and the way you look at things. So you have so many different ways you can envision so much.
And I think we're going to talk about people some, the people of ERDC. And what I always share with them is that idea of if you're not challenged, you're not growing.
Right.
You need to do something else. Even if it means, let's put try something else, see if you like it. And, when people approach me about trying other things that may not be in ERDC, I encourage them and say, but I want you to come back.
Right.
Don't leave.
That's the important part. And Mary Margaret Edney and myself, last week, we talked about the importance and how remarkable the people are with ERDC.
Oh, they're incredible. That's my passion. I absolutely love the people of ERDC. One of the things I had an opportunity to do was participate in the Corps' Emerging Leaders Program many years ago. And that made such a permanent mark on me. I came back to ERDC, and I said, I want to start a program here like that. And we started it with 4 people. We have 4 people in the environmental lab. And eventually I called my friend, Dr. Pittman, who was the GSL, Geotech and Structures Lab Director, and I said, hey, David, why don't you join me? Join this group. We had gone about a couple of years and learned a lot from it. So he brought in 4. Today, we have trained thousands of people.
That's
thousands
fantastic.
Of people. And so excited. And we springboarded that off into the human capital program that we have today. So I became the lead of that for ERDC in 2006.
Okay.
And grew that program. It was a lot of fun. Lots and lots of fun. And our people just are amazing.
And they soak up all that knowledge.
They do. And they love to share it. They love to share it with anybody who's interested.
That's purposeful.
So
that's
come
awesome.
on out there.
So, Dr. Fleming, you've built an impressive career, as we've talked about, and now you're leading the charge for innovation for ERDC and the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. How does it feel personally to be at the forefront of such impactful and forward-thinking work?
Well, I'll tell you, it's a bit intimidating. It's so amazing, and so our mission is so broad. We do work for the military, for the warfighter, and for Civil Works, which is our water resources mission, and it's extremely diverse. Just about any topical area of emerging science and technology, we are involved in it in some form or fashion. For the military, just protecting our soldiers, I like to look at it this way. We train them. We get them where they need to be. That's force projection. We protect them while they're there, and we bring them home safely. In a nutshell, that's what we do.
Right.
And it's so exciting. On the civil work side, we balance the flood, navigation, and environmental mission of the Corps of Engineers for thousands of miles of waterways across the United States. Of course, the largest one being here right at our border in Vicksburg is the Mississippi River, which is an amazing, powerful force. And keeping that navigational traffic is just incredibly important to the economy of the nation. And keeping it safe and secure is an important part of our mission. But in terms of innovation, things are changing so fast. And it's just amazing.
So fast.
So keeping up with what our enemies might be doing in terms of what the warfighter needs is so important, and understanding how they are advancing science and technology and being in front of that force is extremely important in what we try to do. And there are a number of ways that we do that, and we'll probably get into some of those in a little bit. But in terms of civil works, it's the same thing. Protecting, the national economy depends upon what we do in water resources. And we take that and are able to address international problems, doing things internationally with important warfighter partners and doing things with water resources partners, like the Mekong River. We do a lot of support there. And just telling them how our country manages our water resources is an important part of our mission.
Well, that's fantastic, and you've got a lot on your plate.
I do.
You really do. So in this job, you wear, like we say, multiple hats. As ERDC Director, you oversee our 7 laboratories and field sites across 10 states. But can you tell us a little more about your responsibilities as Chief Scientist and Director of Research and Development for the Corps?
Yes, I would be happy to. So there are really 3 main roles we serve in the Corps. And those are as problem solvers, technology advisors, and technology developers. So as chief scientist, I often, very recently, gotten called by the chief of engineers, who's our 3-star over all 35,000 of us. And he's planning, you talked about with Mary Margaret last week about the 250th event.
Right.
He's planning, the president, the Army turned to him and says, we need you to plan for the parade and how we're going to get these 80,000 pound, tanks and all this military equipment down the streets of Washington, D.C., who, they're not in the best shape. And so he says, we need your expertise. So as chief scientist, I reach out to the experts that I have at our disposal, and, they said, here's going to be the challenges. These are the risks associated with this type of event. So that's a big example of problem solving. And so we're informing what are the technologies that they could use to maybe provide protective coverage in areas where we need to, particularly at turns and things like that. Technology advisors, we do a lot of work with other members of the federal family, state, academia, industry. Oftentimes industry will approach the Corps and say, hey, I got a solution for you. And they'll bounce that off of us and say, hey, what do you think about this type of technology as an application for us? So we provide that technical advice. And then technology developers, which is our biggest role.
Right.
That basically involves how do we use either existing technology in new and different ways, or how do we develop new technologies to be used? And those are extremely important. Some of the emergent things you might be thinking about is how does the Army use AI/ML types of technologies? That's artificial intelligence and machine learning. And we use that all the time. Of course, it is very emergent. And so sometimes the people that we try to support with those types of technologies aren't really sure what the question is. They know the question they're trying to answer, but they don't know how to get to all the data and how to use it to be able to,
That's what I was to say, how to use it.
that, and which is a big problem. And the Corps is a prime example, our own agency, in the dredging mission, part of the navigation, and how years of dredging data we started in Vicksburg with Waterways Experiment Station in 1927. That's how old the flood data is
Right.
for this area.
Right.
And so how do you use all that data and information is something that AI can help us with, but we're not ready to let go of the people
real
component.
The real data, the tangible data.
I jokingly say, if the chief of engineers told Congress, well, that's what the machine told me to do, that's what AI told me to do, that wouldn't go over too well if we made a mistake. So
right.
we still have to have the people component and the knowledge to inform that.
Okay.
I think it will be a step and one point that AI will pop out answers for us. And we
It's so mind-blowing. It's so mind-blowing.
It's incredible. It's incredible.
I never thought, we are going back to the Jetsons,
Right.
That's what that was about.
Absolutely.
And so it's just amazing how everything has evolved into what somebody saw a long time ago.
Right.
Wow.
You never know what you see that can be something
Absolutely.
to grab hold of and check out.
My husband and I talk about it all the time. That was on the Jetsons. Some people out there might going, what's the Jetsons? But anyway, you've said that right now is one of the most exciting and essential times for us in ERDC and the Corps. Why do you think innovation and research and development are more important than ever?
Well, there are just so many demands and so many things that need S&T help. And, all these, when infrastructure, for example, was built years ago, look right through any town and any city, and you're going to see infrastructure in trouble. Innovative ways of repairing that infrastructure is what is needed.
Right.
And we have done tons of work at ERDC on materials like fiber reinforced polymers and composites and cementitious materials, advancements in regard to cementitious materials that will help us either extend infrastructure life or be able to have more innovative ways of informing design and criteria for engineering and construction of new infrastructure. One of the examples of things that we did for civil works involved, if you have to take down a lock and down for repairs, that can put you out of commission for months. And if there's no notice of that for the navigational traffic along the waterways, that's a big problem for industry. And
Right.
they are not happy when that happens. So what we're trying to do is reduce downtime, but also avoid unnoticed downtime that they
Right.
would have to experience. So think of like perishable navigational items on a navigational waterway that has to sit out somewhere for months. That's not going to work.
Right.
So one of the things that we did was come up with a methodology where you could go underwater with divers and put a fiber reinforced polymer around the area that was damaged in the lock, inject cementitious materials, let that set up, and then the divers go back down and remove that fiber reinforced polymer. We have a repair. We've used that technology for bridges also. East Lynn Lake Bridge is on the eastern side of the United States, and we were able to do that repair and keep highway traffic going using the same technology. It's amazing.
It just is amazing.
It
And
is.
what's the saying, you learn something new every day? Well, at ERDC, you learn something new every hour. Maybe
Every hour.
Yes, every hour. So since you've come back to ERDC as director, I'm sure you've reflected on ERDC's world-class team, like we were speaking about earlier, and the culture of innovation that thrives here. With today's engineering challenges being some of the toughest that you've seen, how do you see ERDC's people and their work rising to meet the moment for both the nation and the warfighter?
Well, our people are, we did some special things to try to identify what are the most productive people, what are their characteristics at ERDC, what personality traits do they have? So we did some behavioral interviewing, and that helped us refine why is it that people, the most successful people here, which we have an immensely successful workforce, why do they stay?
Right.
What is it that they love about what they do here? And it's the freedom to explore, the freedom to investigate just about anything you can imagine in ERDC. They just absolutely love it. So you may come there like with an academic background, say you're a civil engineer, and you come to ERDC with that background. Mm-hmm. You can use that in so many different ways to do research. You may use it to help inform a wastewater treatment plant, which was what we did early when I started work there, those types of things.
Right.
You would use it for infrastructure, all of the things that I was just talking about in regard to repairing infrastructure or informing engineering and construction for the Corps of Engineers, civil engineering. New problems emerge all the time, and you can just, the agility of our workforce, and they move over. When the ball moves, they move to where the ball's going to go. One of our prior chiefs used to call it skate to where the puck is going to be. If you think of a hockey analogy, that's what hockey players do. They anticipate where the puck is going to be, and they skate there. So that's what our team does. They anticipate what's the new emergent technology and how could I use that to inform decisions. That's what we do, inform decisions every day.
And that's, again, before we started our conversation today, I talked about the people that sit in your chair right there and how they are so excited about what they're working on. They just go, they just light up.
Absolutely.
And they get so 100, I know there's no such thing as 110%, but they do. They get behind it that much. And they eat, live, and sleep it pretty much. And you can tell.
Absolutely.
And that's what you, I think, find out in that investigating and talking to the people. So that's so fun.
It is.
That's so fun because you don't find that everywhere. You know?
Do not.
Mm-mm. So on that note of how ERDC supports the warfighter, can you share an example of ERDC's life-saving military engineering innovations with our listeners?
Absolutely. And that is a great question. And I was just telling you about the use of advanced materials. Mm-hmm. Well, in terms of the warfighter, soldiers face numerous challenges every time they deploy, wherever they are, or even in nationally. We have national events that require protection. And the protection and things that we do for infrastructure work equally well for the warfighter, who is, as you know, when you are in the field, you're constantly being shot at and in danger and all of those things. So the very same materials that we use for the infrastructure that I talked about for civil works, you can use a lot of those materials for the warfighter. Mm-hmm. So he or she is out there, and they can use things like modular protective systems, where they're able to quickly put up protective systems anywhere they find themselves to be. And that's an important thing that we do.
So important.
Absolutely. Then, robotics and advancements in regard to that. There are areas where they can use technologies such as robotics, engineering operations technologies, where they can not have to explore areas that may appear to be dangerous and just send robots in and be able to see the landscape and what they might be facing over the hill and explore, what is the unknown of a particular situation, and know that before they move in and project into different areas that may be a bit dangerous. And so that provides the information that they need to be able to know that.
And those robots have the sensors on there to know what the conditions are?
They do. Environmental conditions that they may be facing as they move into different areas. All different types of techniques that we use to inform those movements, including geospatial. Our geospatial research lab does a lot of the work where you can inform soldier movements with geotechnical ability to see where they're wanting to go. That informs commanders' instructions to their troops. And then you can also use those technologies to be able to see where our enemies are moving, and then be able to take all of the information that you're gathering and provide that protection, whether it be through these systems I'm talking about or just informing them, don't go into this area, take another direction. And that's just amazing information that we provide. And we also provide reach back capabilities, so 24/7, 365. no matter where our soldiers find themselves, they can reach back and say, hey, how do I get across this area? Which is some of our projection techniques, where they can use methods to get across areas that are unpassable. Sadly, we've also helped in areas recently, in Lithuania, during a training event where soldiers were lost, and we were able to use a lot of the knowledge that we have in regard to those movements and technologies that are used for that to be able to help recover those soldiers. And if you have a loved one, you know how, and you've ever lost anyone where their situation is unknown, it's just to provide that comfort and closure to the family members is extremely important. And we gave it 110%, as you say,
Right.
to be able to do that.
Right.
And that's an important aspect of what we do. But we've saved the lives of thousands of soldiers over time.
I know a lot of people have reached out to the Reach Back organization and just thanked them because of what they did, saved their lives and people around them. So,
Right.
so important.
Right, so important. And as a mom of a Marine who now works for Raytheon out in Arizona, that's very important.
Right.
Very important.
And I mean, I think every show that we do, I think people find out more and more of how important ERDC is and what they do for not only, you know, them going down the road, but for the people that protect us. And
Right.
it's so important. So now let's pivot.
Okay.
All right, we're going to pivot to the Civil Works mission. Can you tell us about any standout innovations in that area that are protecting our nation?
Well, Civil Works, the biggest way I think that we contribute to that in protecting the nation is in our flood mission. And as you know, Katrina and the events that we've experienced, just and it seems like the events are just ever increasing.
I live at Eagle Lake, I understand.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Like right now, while I was at Mississippi Valley Division and even beyond, I still kind of worry about some of the things I saw there and the new people that have come in after I left. But Arkabutla Dam is the highest priority dam in the Corps of Engineers. It's the highest rated, highest risk dam. And Civil Works, we found innovative ways to make repairs that would help stabilize that dam, but it is eventually going to be completely removed and replaced. But the innovative ways to inject materials to be able to patch that has been extremely important. One of the innovations that dates back a long time ago that I can think of was funded actually out of military. But years ago, we made a decision to hire someone who does something called toxicogenomics.
I don't even know how to start to try to spell that.
I know, that's kind of scary. It sounds like a...
Would not want that in your spelling bee. Absolutely.
But what it is something you're very familiar with, is you use genetics to be able to know what the impacts of toxic chemicals are on, animals and eventually on humans.
Right.
So we decided to hire somebody many, many years ago with that capability. And at that time, we had really no idea. We do basic research that we have no idea how it's going to be used. And that just means you're exploring what could this new technology mean, and then you realize there are applications that you might move into. Well, in Civil Works, we put that investment in the military, and we were the first to discover how explosives move across the blood-brain barrier and can cause really, health effects to soldiers. Well, we also took that investment, fast forward years later, to Civil Works, and use that technology to be able to track the movement of Asian carp in the waterways and prevent that movement.
Same technology.
Getting their DNA out of the water and tracking where their movements were going, and then using that to inform how do we need to design electrical barriers
Right.
to prevent migration of Asian carp into very important ecosystems up in the Great Lakes and other areas, part of the country. So it's those types of decisions that translate over from military to civil works. And that was a very innovative thing. And even today, we're using that technology not only on invasives like Asian carp, which you don't want,
Right.
but threatened and endangered species that you do want.
Right.
And so use that technology to be able to track, do we have these species, and what can we do to preserve these species in the environment, is just some of the examples. But data analytics and our ability to inform soldiers' movements, that's where it's going. They have to have the capability to be able to know where to move. One of the big advancements that we've made in terms of innovation for them has been something we termed trade space analytics, which was an investment out of our R&D program on the military side. We receive direct funds, and they pay us, Congress pays us to do an exploration into emerging technologies for the military. And one of the areas that we got involved in involves those data analytics to inform soldiers and what they're able to do and move. But the trade space analytics, what that does is inform how do we use models to be able to predict future next generation vehicles or helicopters for the soldiers to move and project. And by running models based upon available information, we can streamline the acquisition process and say, hey, don't, when you're designing the wingspan for the helicopters, this is what you need to look at. And then running a variety of different models to be able to predict this is going to be the most effective way to design the helicopters for the future workforce, for future vertical lift for our soldiers. And so that's just one of the ways that we use those military innovations also.
So she sits here and sees me go, wow, 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 wow. So anyway, there's so many different topics in subject matter that's covered all across the board. It's just, it's wow.
Right.
And I mean,
if you have a son that's in the military, you probably have you have benefited, your soldier has benefited from many things that the ERDC does all the time. And we pass that off to industry, and they design it and use it, and then it's, one of the things that we've...
Because, we've had Jenny Jabor with ORT, and we've had Janice Korcher with ERDC Works to talk about the tech transfer and all that and how all that works. So very, very cool. Big stuff. So big. You've stressed the innovation can't be confined to labs or research projects. It needs to be embedded in our everyday culture. How can we foster that mindset across all parts of USACE, from the Caribbean to the Far East?
Well, that is a mindset that, you have to be interested in. And what I mean is people who are interested in innovation like to change. And we are in a world of change. And, if that scares you, change scares you, you must be very nervous right now. And so you have to innovate.
Wow.
And
yes,
innovation
absolutely.
is just part of where we are now. So we're looking for innovation, whether it's in the sense that I've been talking about of science and technology, but everybody in the community should look for innovation in terms of just everything you do every day, whether it's your business processes, learning from other people and how they're adopting new methodologies to do things quicker and faster. It's just part of our everyday life. Think of the evolution of everything we experience.
Phones,
everything, changed everything.
Right.
And I remember when they handed me a phone at work, and I was like, oh, no.
Was it one of those great big ones, like those bag phones or something like that?
No, it wasn't a bag phone, but it was when they handed me a BlackBerry, and I knew, okay, 24/7. So sometimes I get texts at like 3 in the morning.
Oh.
It's like crazy. And when I told you I did the CIO G6 job, which is the IT, you're managing the information technology for the entire Corps of Engineers. So if somebody comes in and their computer doesn't work, it's your fault. And yeah, I know. So you're looking at me like, so that was you, huh? But anyway, taking everything to the cloud and all that kind of stuff is part of that responsibility. And just everything's changing so fast. And when they handed me that BlackBerry, I knew what that meant. But I would get calls 24/7, just like the USACE Reach Back Operations Center for, we have a Korean district, Japan district. Our network's down. It's constant. So the world is changing where everyone feels the pressure to be reachable all the time. And it's, so innovation, and keeping pace with that is just something we're all
and keeping your stress in line.
Keeping your stress in line. Sometimes you just have to cut it off.
Right.
You just have to cut it off and go relax.
Absolutely.
We all do. But I love new ideas, and
right.
I'm just having the opportunity to, you mentioned earlier we've done many of these sessions with you, and just how our folks light up when they tell you about the innovative things that they're doing and how excited they get. And that's the kind of people that we have in our workforce that embrace new things. And then the real challenge for us often is encouraging other people to embrace the new change.
Right.
And that's one of the challenges associated with innovation, is being able to do that. The core, we've done everything, our designs and a lot of things the same way for a long time. And embracing the use of new materials and making sure that, we do get all the approvals that are necessary to be able to use those and know the durability of those and all those types of things are some of the unknowns we have to try to get people over the hump for.
Right.
To adopt that new innovative technology. And so that's something that we all work on, and we need your help. Embrace new ideas, embrace change. And, I watch my in-laws using their phones, and they're all doing it. Everybody's doing it. We're all
The day my mom got on Facebook, I about fell out. I'm just saying. I never thought something like that would happen, but she did. And
she's doing
asked me to be her friend.
Oh, did
that was
did
just,
you, Annette?
I did accept her friendship.
Good.
I know.
I'm so glad.
Well, so another important piece of the puzzle with innovation is collaboration. Oh, that's such an important word.
It's so important.
Can you talk about how ERDC partners with industry to put innovative technologies in the hands of the warfighter, and why is that collaboration so critical to our mission?
Well, collaboration is so important because oftentimes what we do fits into a bigger system. And so we're just one of the Army labs. The Army has labs that we partner with all the time, and we partner with other members of the federal family. So informing things like next generation combat vehicles with new materials, helping inform how do we decrease the weight of the next generation combat vehicle so that we can move further, with the limitations that we have in terms of having fuel available for those movements. Doing things like electrical systems that we can move, battery systems that can be new designs that we put in place at our construction engineering research lab. How do we get power generation out to the warfighter?
And last a long time.
And last a long time.
Right.
And, trying to identify, of all the things that the soldiers have to carry, how do we make those lighter weight? Working on new materials to do that, because all of the comms and all of that they have to use require lighter weight materials and things like that to support them. Those are all things that we can use technology to inform And the lighter the weight, the more physical durability they
Right.
have, quite honestly. In areas that are, oftentimes we find, where we find ourselves oftentimes is very challenging climatic areas for our soldiers. So anything that we can do to help support them
Right.
in those types of environments is extremely important.
So important. So important. So as we wrap up, can you believe this has gone by so fast?
I cannot believe it.
As we close the show today, you said it perfectly. To tell the story of USACE Innovation is also to tell the story of USACE itself. As we write the next chapter, and boy, is it going to be a chapter, both here at home and around the globe, what are some of the key takeaways you hope our listeners walk away with from this conversation?
Well, I think just our listeners should be very proud of what the city of Vicksburg provides. We are a very important piece of the nation, just here in our small part of the world. I tell you, I travel all over sharing what we do in science and technology here in Vicksburg and the other parts of what ERDC provides, and the U.S. Army Corps. Here we have Mississippi Valley Division, as I mentioned, and the Vicksburg District, and the collective of what we have in Vicksburg is a big brain trust for all of the nation and the world,
Right.
all over the place. And so, that center of gravity is right here in this town. And helping tell our story. We need everybody helping tell our story. And it's key. What we provide is key to advancing the nation, both for the military and for civil works. What we provide in terms of flood protection is so important. And think of how ERDC, I've started talking about Katrina a little bit ago and kind of moved off of that, but what we did there is inform how they designed the hurricane storm damage risk reduction system in New Orleans. And we inform flood, how we evacuate areas and all those types of things all the time with our modeling systems that we do. We have the High Performance Computing Center that I didn't even get into on this interview.
Well, you can do this again. Dr. Pittman did 2 of these shows, so I'm just saying. Yes, he did.
Okay, because we have some other things we can cover.
That's right, absolutely.
But we, here in Vicksburg, for the listeners that are local, you have investments that we have all over the nation and the world. We have a European research office as well. This extremely
I bet people
important.
didn't even know
Probably
that.
didn't even know that. And so here in Vicksburg, you be proud of what we provide in our community that saves lives and protects the people, whether we're saving lives for deployed soldiers or whether we're saving lives due to the flood mission and the protection services that we provide, to be able to inform of the wind, wave, and current, all those 3D physics-based models, very complex, pop out and inform where the members of our nation move.
Right.
Where do they need to move to be protected? Evacuation routes and all those types of things during emergency situations. All of that happens right here.
Right here in Vicksburg. And a little fact, on June 2nd, the Board of Mayor and Aldermen at the city board meeting is going to declare June USACE month.
Awesome.
So we're going to have representatives from ERDC and the division
How
and the
exciting.
district. So yes, they're
yes.
going to do that. So they see and they know and they appreciate what all goes on in Vicksburg. So.
Yes, and we love working with all of the community leaders. I just want to mention that before we leave. We
Absolutely.
love working with all the community leaders and supporting Vicksburg and trying to bring new interest into Vicksburg. We love our role in that, and we're proud of where we live.
Absolutely.
Travel all over the place. I got to travel on Monday, but I agree with Dorothy.
No
the
place.
Wizard of Oz. There's no place like home. I can't wait to get home every time I go.
Absolutely. Well, Dr. Fleming, this has been such a pleasure and an honor.
Well, it has been a pleasure and an honor for me too.